It's Friday, June 1. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. 3 employees, including a mortuary supervisor at the Kingston Public Hospital, have been interdicted as it probes the improper disposal of the remains of neonates stored at the hospital's morgue. According to the Southeast Regional Health Authority, SERA, the authority says the investigations has so far revealed that the standard operating procedure with respect to the storage and removal of human remains from the morgue was not followed. The agency notes that this breach has resulted in some human remains being unaccounted for based on morgue records. SERA says it will immediately recruit additional mortuary staff and plans to enhance security systems to include the installation of a buzzer system and surveillance cameras. It further says it will be strengthening and reinforcing the standard operation procedures for morgue services. The parliamentary opposition has criticized Transport Minister Robert Montague's proposed policy of unlimited taxi and bus route licenses, saying it will have a devastating impact on the public sector transport system. In his contribution to the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Wednesday, Mr. Montague said the government is looking to open all routes in Jamaica to new licenses.
To this end, we want to open all routes in Jamaica and allow all who wish to be licensed to be licensed.
Here, here.
2, once you are awarded a route, you must keep it. And if you wish to change it, you can apply for a change of route with the necessary fees. 3, people should be allowed to design and craft their own routes and then apply for it to be registered. License application will no longer need to go to the board. We are proposing renewal of licenses to be in the owner's birth month, not in April of every year for everybody.
The Transport Minister said the reform program is being implemented after a 6-month period of consultation with stakeholders. But Michael Phillips, opposition spokesman on transport, has said the proposed policy was not properly thought out and is not in keeping with best practices and international standards. He argued that the natural reaction to the initiative will be operators moving to overcrowd the most lucrative routes, leaving the others underserved. Plans are in place to install a monitoring system in all buses operated by the state-owned Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC. Transport Minister Robert Montague says the system will assist in the monitoring of buses and bus drivers effectively. He made the announcement while speaking in the House of Representatives this week. He estimates that the system will save the government millions of dollars yearly.
Mr. Speaker, we'll also be soon implementing a vehicle tracking and maintenance monitoring system. This will tell us where the bus is at any time, what speed it's being driven at, and the fuel consumption. Today, when the bus leaves the depot, we have no sight of it for the next 8 hours. The experiment that was done revealed that our buses sometimes idle for up to 40% of the 8 hours. There was one instance where a bus was left in a depot for 4 hours. This not only wastes fuel, but wears the parts and causes overheating. The monitoring system will send an alarm when a preset boundary is exceeded, whether it is speeding, idling, or routine maintenance. This system, by reducing idling, can save approximately $125 million per year.
Meanwhile, the Transport Minister says several CCTV cameras have already been installed in JUTC buses. Some $400 million will be spent during the 2018-2019 financial year to construct and upgrade markets across the island. This, according to Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie. Minister McKenzie said that the expenditure is the largest in recent years for the improvement of market infrastructure. noting that the investment will stimulate small-scale economic activity. He says there is a need for markets across the island to get serious attention, as the facilities are major sources of income for many Jamaicans. Mr. Mackenzie was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for construction of new Porto Maria Market in St. Mary on Wednesday. The $56 million market will replace the existing structure. In regional news, the Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management System, CDEMA, has officially launched a project to strengthen the resilience of schools against the impact of disasters linked to the hurricane season. The program has put forward a Safe School Toolkit. We have more details in this ABS News report.
The Caribbean Development Bank has now begun disbursement of grant funding of €746,000 to the CDEMA Coordinating Unit to further implement the toolkit in 6 countries, including Antigua and Barbuda. Minister of Education, the Honorable Michael Brown, gave brief history behind the program.
A year ago, on April 17, 2017 to be exact, Antigua and Barbuda took on the initiative of hosting and championing the first ever Safe Schools ministerial meeting right here in Antigua and Barbuda. At the same time, Antigua and Barbuda assumed the chairmanship of the Safe Schools initiative. And it came from a background whereby stakeholders across the Caribbean had come to the realization that for many, many years, our schools have been the focal point of community development, of community safe harbor, of community initiative. Our schools not only educate persons, but in times of natural disasters, whether they were designed for that purpose or not, it is often the place where the community looks to if their own place of abode was destroyed.
Minister of Works, the Honorable Lennox Weston, listed some of the benefits that will be derived from this initiative.
Most important and precious asset we have are our people. And our future depends not only on ourselves now, but the future quality of students we produce in our school systems. And Dominica presented, and Barbuda presented the most recent example that as part of the whole human dislocation, the most challenging is when the children can't go to school. Because children can't go to school, parents can't go to work. Children can't be educated, children will be behind.
Minister Weston noted that having uneducated children means there will be an untrained society, so schools must be built to be resilient and sustainable. Deputy Director of the National Office of Disaster Services, Sherrod James, gave an overview of the program.
The goal of this initiative is not just to prepare facilities and persons for a hurricane season. It is ingrained in the whole initiative of our comprehensive disaster management thrust. As we know, comprehensive disaster management is the Caribbean brand of the International Disaster Risk Management Initiative. As being such, it looks at management of all hazards in all phases by all of the stakeholders involved. And it involves us basically looking at how we live.
The project will benefit the education sectors of 6 CDEMA participating states vulnerable to climate change and disasters. The CDM Strategy 2014 to 2024, coordinated by CDEMA, provides the regional framework for building a safer, more resilient Caribbean through strengthening institutional arrangements.
Women's rights advocates have called on the UK government to act on the sexual harassment scandal at the joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS. They are supporting appeals from civil society to initiate comprehensive reforms at the United Nations agency and put pressure on Secretary General Antonio Guterres to dismiss Executive Director Mikel Sarib. The joint appeal was made at a press conference at King's Fund in central London yesterday. Geneva-based UNAIDS staffer Martina Brostrom, who accused Sarib of covering up a sexual assault which she was subjected to at the joint program, was a key speaker at the event. Referring to the Department for International Development's role as chair of UNAIDS Program Coordinating Board and its upcoming meeting in Geneva at the end of June, Wallström said, quote, "The UK is uniquely positioned to ensure that sexual assault and violence will no longer go unpunished," end quote. A cornerstone of the UNAIDS mission is the empowerment of women and girls across the world, particularly in Africa and Asia, where women are often the most marginalized group. In sports, Olympic Games and World Championship 4x100 meters gold medalist Nesta Carter said that he is deeply disappointed at the decision of the Court of Arbitration for Sport's decision to disqualify the results of the 4x100 meters relay at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, China. A urine sample he provided after the race returned negative results. In 2016, urine samples from the Beijing Games were retested and the sample provided by Carter was found to contain methylaxamine. On January 25, 2017, the IOC-DP found that he had committed an anti-doping rule violation, disqualified the Jamaican men's 4x100 meters relay team, and ordered the return of its medal and diploma. In a statement, Carter reportedly said, "I have always been a clean athlete, and I would never knowingly do anything to risk my reputation or the reputation of my country," end quote. The substance found in Carter's sample was not named on the prohibited list in 2008, but is now recognized as having been a contaminant in many products. As Sri Lanka begin their 2018 Test tour of the West Indies, Captain Dennis Chandimal said his team won't be taking the Caribbean side for granted. He spoke to TV6 ahead of Wednesday's match against Residence 11 at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Tarouba.
Cricketers are in the West Indies for a three-match Test series against the Caribbean side. According to Captain Dinesh Chandimal, the team has done its homework and it's now all about executing those plans.
We had a really good preparation in Sri Lanka, and we did a camp in Kandy. So it was a one-week camp, and everyone in a good shape and looking forward to the series.
A big blow that Dhananjay De Silva is not here because his father was killed, tragedy. How does that affect the team?
Yeah, it was a really hard situation for him and the team. Yeah, it's a really shocking moment to everyone, and so our prayers and thoughts with Dhananjay always. So it will be really challenging, especially for Dhananjay, and I'm sure he will be okay in future.
Even though the Windies have been struggling in all formats at international level, Chandimal is not taking the hosts for granted. After all, the Sri Lankans have also had their ups and downs.
Yeah, we all know they are a really good side in the world, and especially if they are playing in West Indies, they are really good. So we never underestimate West Indies. But as a team, we have something in our sleeve, and if we can execute that, so we can give them a really good challenge in this series.
Chandimal averages 43.75 with a bat from 46 Test matches. When asked about his personal goals against the Windies, he preferred to focus on the main objective.
After 10 years, this second time tour to West Indies, especially for the Test series, and so we never win a Test series here. So if we can do that, so it will be a really good memory for me and the team.
The Sri Lankans play a three-day tour match starting Wednesday in Tarouba before the first Test starts on June 6th at the Queen's Park Oval.
And that's the news. Do stay with us. The weather report is next. This is PBCJ's weather report. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with our local currents. We're looking at the parishes across the island. Today we're seeing warm temperatures between 29 and 32 degrees Celsius. We're seeing that we could be getting some rainfall over there in Negril and over there in Golden Grove, St. Thomas. In Kingston's forecast for today, warm temperatures between 25 and 29 degrees Celsius. We're looking at sunny skies throughout the day. The sun is set to go down, though, at 6:33 p.m. Over there in Montego Bay, St. James, warm temperatures between 29 and 23 degrees Celsius. We're looking at cool temperatures this evening in the western parts, 11 degrees Celsius forecast. We're seeing that the sun came up at 5:50 a.m. this morning, but it's set to go down at about 6:33 p.m. this evening. In our forecast for tomorrow, warm temperatures across the island between 29 and 32 degrees Celsius. We're seeing, though, that we could be getting some rainfall over there in the Negril. Cloudy conditions forecast for certain parts of the island as well. In our forecast for today across the Caribbean, temperatures between 28 and 35 degrees Celsius, so it's going to be pretty warm out in parts of Mexico. We're looking at rainfall in that country as well. We're seeing that we could be getting some rainfall in the eastern end of the Caribbean. Rainfall forecast for Antigua, some cloudy conditions. Pretty much in St. George's, Grenada. We're looking at cloudy conditions over there in Santo Domingo, but we could be getting some sunny skies for Havana finally for this week, and we're looking at sunny skies forecast for Nassau, Bahamas as well. Let's take a look at what could be happening for tomorrow across the region. Temperatures between 28 and 33 degrees Celsius. We're looking at some cloudy conditions in certain areas across the Caribbean, where we could be getting some rainfall over there in Santo Domingo and over there in Campeche, Mexico. In our travel planner, we're looking at the United States. We're seeing on your screen locations: Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and Atlanta. We're looking at a possibility of rainfall for New York, cloudy conditions forecast for Miami and Atlanta. Pretty much sunny skies over there in Los Angeles with a high temperature 38 degrees Celsius and a low temperature at 14 degrees Celsius for certain areas. It's pretty warm out in New York. We're looking at temperatures forecast between 19 and 31 degrees Celsius. And that's it for the weather report. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.